Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video where we're going to cover Luke's point of view on The Last Jedi. That's right. This comes from the book, The Secrets of the Jedi, that you've seen me cover so many times. It's riddled with so much interesting stuff, all from Luke's point of view, and the best part is that it's canon. So let's begin on Luke's point of view of The Last Jedi, and yes, himself. The Jedi Order is dead. All that's left now are legends. Or at least that was supposed to be the case. My name is Luke Skywalker, and had everything gone as I planned, I would have been the last Jedi. Though the age of the Jedi has long since passed, most people still remember them as an ancient order of powerful knights devoted to bringing harmony to the galaxy. These peacekeepers numbered in the thousands ages ago, but their number dwindled until there was only one left: me. My path to becoming a Jedi Master was very different from the one followed by those who came before me. Still, when I suddenly went from naive farm boy to intergalactic hero, I thought myself worthy enough to carry on their long-lost traditions. In doing so, I became more than just another rebel fighting against the Empire. I became a legend myself. I even believed in my own legend for a time. I thought my triumphs were the sign of a new beginning for the Jedi Order, that I could build a powerful new force of light from the ashes of a dark empire. I almost succeeded in doing so. Legends don't always tell the whole story. The heroes at their center aren't always the shining beacons of light we so desperately want them to be. They have flaws and failures. At the time, my failures were almost more than I could bear. Instead of blaming myself for them, I blamed the Jedi. I became convinced the Jedi Order had done more harm to the galaxy than good, that they were so blinded by their own light they let the darkness creep in and take control. And so I came here, to Ahch-To, the most unfindable place in the whole galaxy, to die, and to let the Jedi die with me. I closed myself off from the Force for years after that, swore off the old ways, even tried to burn the last traces of the Order to the ground. I refused to make the same mistakes ever again. But by removing myself so completely from the world, I was failing everyone that I loved, everyone who believed in me, and everyone who believed in those ancient legends of noble warriors destined to bring light to the darkness. It had taken years of exile to convince myself I was doing what was right, but all it took was one young girl to show me how wrong I had been that whole time. I focused on letting the Jedi die for so long I had almost forgotten why they lived in the first place. Perhaps it's time to walk that path again. After all, what good are legends if we can't learn from them? Luke then goes on to talk about the Jedi Code just a little bit, so I'm going to read that as well. Each member of the Jedi Order, from the youngest initiate to the wisest master, was devoted to following the Jedi Code. There is no emotion, there is peace. There is no ignorance, there is knowledge. There is no passion, there is serenity. There is no chaos, there is harmony. There is no death, there is the Force. The Jedi Code itself may seem simple upon reading it, but the true challenge is living it. Passion can rise to the surface, emotions can cloud our thoughts, chaos can spiral us into the unfathomable darkness. We all find ourselves staring into the abyss at times. Only those who find a way to rise above the darkness are deemed worthy to become Jedi. And at the bottom of this page, there's something that you can pull out and it helps you translate anything in Orbish. And what this does, as it says use the translator below to unlock the wisdom of the Jedi. And if you look on the bottom of the page there, it'll tell you something in Orbish, and you have to translate it. So I went ahead and translated it, and it says, always pass on what you have learned, Yoda. Okay, so I have a whole bunch of things to say to this. So Luke essentially realized something that none of the other Jedi, except for maybe Count Dooku and Qui-Gon, really understood, which was the fact that the Jedi were completely disillusioned. They completely cut themselves off from the real Force, in the sense that they were just focusing on politics, and they allowed themselves to be consumed by it, clouding their judgment from the real threat, which was the Sith. Or rather, I should say, were the Sith, once Darth Vader came into the picture. What I really like about that is that Luke is thinking outside of the box. He's not just thinking like the Jedi did with their dogmatic views that Palpatine was talking about to Anakin. Now, on the other side of the coin, what I really don't like about this is that he uses that to pretty much just give up. And then, of course, it took him, to the end of the film, then Episode 9, to really acknowledge the fact that he was wrong, and he shouldn't have done that. And you can see that in the excerpt here. So it makes me wonder, did he write this just before he, passed away on Ahch-To? Or was this later on when he became a ghost and he started writing stuff in the book? And if you're thinking, hey, how do you do that when you're a ghost? Well, the guy held his lightsaber and he pulled up his X-Wing with the Force after being dead. So, obviously you can do some very special things here. Not to mention Yoda igniting the freaking tree with a lightning bolt. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. What I'd like to say more about this is that Luke does indeed acknowledge that it is very difficult to become a Jedi, because he goes over the Jedi Code And one of the things that I took out from this, from what he said, is that it's really hard to live these things. So everyone wants to talk about, being a Jedi and this and that, but it's actually more difficult to seize your emotions when you have, these fleeting thoughts, or when you have fleeting emotions, or if you have passion, or if you have some sort of a impatience like Anakin had. All of these things are what make a Jedi if you curb them. I think that's something Yoda did very well. However, I also think that was his downfall. I think a Jedi can use their emotions to be better, but not to let it get the better of them. What I also don't like about this is that the Luke that we knew from Return of the Jedi was so optimistic and so rooted in who he was as a Jedi, like his father before him, then to all of a sudden go and, think like this, think the Jedi were pretty much the root cause of the evil in the galaxy, is just such a 180 switch. And now, if you haven't seen my video about Not My Luke Skywalker, a love letter to the sequels, please go check that out, because you'll find my very respectful letter to the sequels and all sequel fans, of course. All that being said, I think Luke Skywalker was very right in the sense that he did feel all Jedi had become disillusioned, and they were all just kind of pandering towards the Senate and to the Republic and to politics, and they were letting them control everything that had become of the Jedi Order. The Jedi Order were supposed to be something totally different. They were supposed to be their own standing body that was completely irrelevant from politics and this and that. Whatever happened with a government body should have been happening by itself. It's irrelevant to the Jedi. The Jedi were their own thing. They weren't part of the government. However, as things progressed, they eventually started meddling in where the government would come and seek their help, and then the Jedi would want the government's help to fund things. However, the problem was eventually they came to be as we knew them in the prequels, where the Jedi were pretty much doing the entire bidding of the Republic. And as we know, that was governed by the Sith Lord himself, Palpatine. So I believe the issue here isn't really that the Jedi cut themselves off entirely from following their passions and this and that, which has its own issues. I believe the problem is that they were so entranced with the idea of being keepers of the peace, they didn't really take a step out of themselves to see themselves in the third person and witness what they're really doing, that, hey, we actually are soldiers. What we're doing isn't really correct. And I think this is something that Luke Skywalker eventually realized, and that's what we're reading here in this book. But of course, by that time, it was too late. He had already given up, and he went to that planet to die. What I would have preferred is if he had went to that planet to learn something he had not learned before, perhaps from the texts, or to go somewhere where no one could find him and he could just meditate in peace and try to connect himself with the netherworld and really learn from the Force ghosts and advance his teachings there and learnings there. And then he would go back into the fight and, save his sister and work with his sister and all that and fight the new Empire, which was the First Order. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this canon video. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you, always.
Fulfill your destiny.